Hey teacher friends, welcome to my cross-curricular webinar today for October, as I like to call Shocktober. I hope everyone's having a great day. And my name is Kara Rickman, and I'm so excited to be here with y'all. So come on in and tell us where you're from and tell us what grade you teach this year. Tell us how your year's going. I want to know. I would also like to know how many kids that you have in your class this year. That would be awesome. So welcome. Hi, Jill. Hi, Allison. Welcome so much. I love that y'all are hopping on, so thank you so much. Today's going to be all about cross-curricular fun for October. And I am so excited to teach y'all about this and share all of my resources and topics that I share that I teach in October for my first graders. And it's going to be really, really fun. So tell us where you're from if you're just hopping on, and tell us what grade you teach. Okay, so welcome. I love that y'all are hopping on. I'm so excited to be here with y'all today. And I'm sorry my voice is a little scratchy because I think I have some allergies going on. So it's that time of year, you know. So every resource that I'm going to share with you today is 20% off in my TPT store. So I already put a link in the comments. So if you scroll all the way up to the very, very top of the comments, there is a link that says 20% off all of my October resources. Okay? So anything that you like today that you were like, oh my gosh, I really, really want that, comment below in the comments, because I'm going to be giving away 3 resources today to 3 lucky teachers who are commenting. So keep those comments coming, okay? So I'm so excited that you guys are here. That's awesome. So if you would like some free cross-curricular lesson plans today, sign up on my email list. So if you go up to the very, very top of the comments, there is a link that says free cross-curricular lesson plans for owls. And so these are lesson plans that I have put together for y'all that have a suggested mentor text, they have objectives, they have interactive notebooks, they have anchor charts, there are writing craftivities, and there's poetry, there is reading, there's writing, there's math, there's science, there's social studies, all about owls. So you can sign up on my email list. If you go up to the comments and there is a link that says free cross-curricular lesson plans for owls, you can click on that link and then you can sign up for these free lesson plans. So what it's going to do is going to give you 5 different days of lesson plans, and for the first day it's going to be reading, the second day will be writing, the third day will be math, the fourth day science, and so on. Okay, so you'll get 1 email every single day. So Ashley says, hi Ashley, she says, I teach K through 4 as my school's librarian. Oh, that's awesome. Welcome so much, Ashley. I'm so glad you're here. And Allison is here. Hey Allison, I hope you're doing well. Allison is teaching first grade in Houston. You have 25 students. That's a lot of kids. And then my mom is here. Hi Mom, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for watching. Hi, Jill. I'm so glad you're here. That's awesome. And then, so if you're just hopping on, welcome to my cross-curricular free webinar today. And these are the resources that you could win. Okay, so I'm going to go through them really quickly. So if I call your name, there's going to be 3 teachers today that can win. So if you're commenting in the comments, then I might pick you. So you could get From Seed to Pumpkin is my cross-curricular unit all about pumpkins. This one has lesson plans for about 20 days, and it's got suggested mentor text. It has interactive notebooks, anchor charts, writing craftivities, all about pumpkins. And then you could also win my Birds of a Feather Owl thematic unit, which is also the same kind of setup as the pumpkin unit. So it's got the anchor charts. It has suggested mentor text. It has the interactive notebooks. It has the writing craftivities, all about owls. And so that one's a really, really good one also. I really love teaching my kids about owls. There's so many different things that you can pull into that unit with your standards. Or you could win Charlotte's Web. If you teach third grade and you are second grade, third grade, if you want something that is more rigorous, then Charlotte's Web would probably be your first pick, because this one has a lot of character analysis in it and synthesis. And so if you want like any lesson plans for the daily lesson plans for about 20 days, that is filled with interactive anchor charts. It's filled with a booklet that your kids can write in, all about your character analysis. It has interactive notebooks and writing craftivities, anchor charts, lots of fun stuff for Charlotte's Web, which is really fun during October. And then you could also win the Runaway Pumpkin. Now, if you're not familiar with this book, this is this really cute story about a pumpkin that rolls down the hill. And then at the end of the story, it splatters everywhere, and they take all the pieces of the pumpkin and they make pie. And so this is really good to teach force and motion. And so I have a lot of great suggestions in the lesson plan for you about different skills with science, with reading, with writing, poetry. There's a writing craftivity, and there's all different kinds of vocabulary cards. I love to teach new vocabulary to my students, and so that one is filled with lots of great things also. So those are your choices, okay? Hi, Sherry. I'm so glad you're here. Let's see. Sherry is, she's got 12 first grade students. Wow, 12. That's amazing. That is such a great number. That's awesome. So I'm going to take away my face here so you guys can see full screen. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a winner today. There's going to be 3 winners, okay? So the first winner I'm going to pick is Sherry Wallace Saunders. Congratulations, Sherry. So glad you're here. And so, Sherry, you can tell me in the comments which of those resources that you would like, and I will send it to you via Messenger after the webinar is over. So these are my units for October, and I don't do all of these like all at the same time. I kind of teach them sporadically throughout the whole month. So some of these units, you can pick and choose which ones you like, or you can combine them together. The first thing is Gail Gibbons. So Gail Gibbons has a lot of great books, and you know, great books about owls and pumpkins and bats and spiders. And so you can really incorporate an author study with all of these units with Gail Gibbons, which is really easy. You can teach bats, you can teach owls, you can teach Halloween, you can do pumpkins, you can do force, motion, and energy, and you can also do spiders. And of course, if you want to do a novel study with Charlotte's Web, you can certainly do that also. So this is my Spooky Writing Center. My Spooky Writing Center I just put up last Friday, and I'm so super excited about it. Oh, good. Sherry says she wants the Runaway Pumpkin. Yay! Okay, I will send that to you after the webinar. Congrats! That's amazing. So my Spooky Writing Center, if you are in my teacher membership, so I know Allison is here today. Allison is in my teacher membership. Allison, if you look under the October resource module, and you will find all of these resources for your classroom. And so everything I'm showing you, Allison, is all in the October module, okay? Those of you who are not in my teacher membership, you can go in the link that I sent you guys at the very top, and it's got 20% off all my October resources. That's including my Spooky Writing Center. So my Writing Center changes every single month. So this is for October. So it says, what can I write about, right in the middle here. And then it has, I can write a letter, and then I have an example of the letter. So here's my little example. You can see my mouse here. And then it says, I can write a list. So they're going to write a spooky list, okay? And then I can write an invitation. This is an invitation to a Halloween party. So they can write an invitation. Here's a shape book of a jack-o'-lantern. They can do a shape book. And I also have a tombstone and a ghost. So they can write a story and then cut it out, and then you can staple it into a shape book, which is really fun. And then I can write a poem at the bottom. This is my spooky poem. And then they can write a poem about any kind of Halloween character. And then this one says, I can write a card. So I just bought these little cards off of Amazon. They come in a pack of 20, I believe. And So, hey, Shantuan, I'm so glad you're here. Hey, I'm so glad. She says, I live in Atlanta and I have 16 kinders. Yay, that's amazing. What a nice group of kids. So they can write a card, Halloween card to one of their friends. And then it says, I can write a how-to story. So this is how to make a pumpkin or how to make a jack-o'-lantern. So they can write how, first, then, next, last. And then I can write a sticker story, and this is probably their favorite one. So I give them choices of stickers, and then they can write a story all about their sticker story. So they can get 3 to 5 stickers and put it on their story. So if you, like Shantuan is also in my membership. So Shantuan, if you look in my October module in the membership, all of these October resources that you will see in my webinar today is all in the membership. So you guys can get it any time that you want to. So this is my October Kitchen Center. And I have a kitchen center that is all about procedural writing, because in first grade, one of our standards is they have to be able to write procedural writing. So I change it out every month. And so I put down a tablecloth, and then I have all of these different bins that the kids can play with. So there's like how to make sandwiches, there's how to make s'mores, there's how to make bone soup, how to decorate a pumpkin. And then in this one on the side over here is where I have all my how-to pages. So you can have them write first, then, next, last. And there's an example up here on the board, on the wall, that shows them first, then, next, last. I love to read the story about bone soup, and that's probably one of my favorite stories during October. And then I will get one of these cauldrons with a scooper, and then inside the cauldron I'll get like some googly eyes, like those plastic eyes. I'll get the witch fingers. I'll get a plastic bag of bones, spiders, just like different Halloween like little food items, and then I'll put it in the bone soup, and then we'll make a bone soup, and then they can practice making the bone soup during the kitchen time. There's also the s'mores. I like making s'mores. We actually make real s'mores, which I'll show you in a little while in the other slides. But here is the plastic wooden s'mores by Melissa and Doug, and then they can make s'mores. And then here is the poster that says first, then, next, last, and then they can put the cards in order for their recipe. These are plastic pumpkins that I bought from Hobby Lobby, and then I just put Velcro pieces on the pumpkin. And then in these little, this cauldron, I have little felt board pieces that they can make on the jack-o'-lantern, like different shapes. So I have like triangles and squares and circles that they can decorate the pumpkin with. So, and all of this I have in my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Create Your Balance with Literacy. You can watch how I put together my October Kitchen Center and my October Writing Center in my YouTube channel. So you can go to my YouTube channel and check it out. And then, of course, I have sandwiches over here. They can make sandwiches, and then they can write about it. So Kitchen Center is really fun. That's one of their favorite centers of all. Okay, so like I said, Gail Gibbons. Oh, Allison says the membership is the best. Yay, Allison. I'm so glad you like a membership. That's amazing. I'm so glad. Yes, it is the best. Gail Gibbons is so awesome because she has the pumpkin book, she has Halloween, she has owls, she has spiders, she has bats. So you can kind of incorporate all of these author studies every different month. So you kind of have to think about like what you're going to teach in that month, and then incorporate the author that goes along with those stories that you're going to read. So this is my author study board, and so what I did is I just copied some covers from the internet, and I just laminated them, and I made them into a bulletin board. And so that's my author center. And then I put her books on the bottom. There's a shelf at the bottom that I put all her books, so they can pick a book to read during their center time, because this is a center. And then they can write about her, and then draw her picture, and then they label beginning, middle, and end of the story. So some Gail Gibbons writing craftivities that I like to do. Of course, you can read about owls, and then you can write about the owl life cycle. So this would be in the owl unit called Birds of a Feather. And then my scary bat, and then if I had a pumpkin patch. These two are in my resource called Let's Write About Halloween. And then All About Spiders here at the bottom. This is a lap book. And so if you're not familiar with how I do my lap books are just colored folders. And I just get a box of yellow or a box of orange or a box of blue from Amazon. And then I let them pick out a color. And then they decorate the cover with the topic, whatever the topic is right here. They color the cover, and it says All About Spiders. And then in the inside, we do research. And so any research template will go inside of there. I'll show you an example in a little bit. Or they can write spider facts over here, this writing craftivity. So this would be in my TBT store, and it is also 20% off today. It's all about spiders, and I think it's titled From Egg to Spider. And then for owls, I love teaching about owls. There's so many great stories you can read about owls. So Owl Babies is one of my favorites. The Littlest Owl, Owl Moon, of course, by Jane Yolen. That's awesome. The Barn Owls, and then Owls by Gail Gibbons. Owls, Strange and Wonderful. Owlie by Mike Thaler. This is a cute little fiction story. And then Lazy Ozzy is so cute, is a fiction story. And then Hoo Hoo is also a cute fiction story. So these three at the bottom here are really, really good to compare fiction with nonfiction. So if you get a nonfiction book about owls and then read any of these fiction stories, you can have your kids compare. And then this is my theme center. So next week I'm going to be changing my theme center to owls. And then I have all of these life-size owls on the very top shelf. So I just got some of these owls. This is an owl from Home Depot. You know, one of those owls that you put on top of your roof or under your porch to keep away the birds. And so I just get some of those owls and I displayed them. And then I have this bulletin board, all of the different kinds of owls here. And then I have the owl food chain in the middle. So these posters about the different owls are in my unit called Birds of a Feather. And then at the bottom, on the bottom shelf, I have stuffed animals, I have puppets, stuffed owls, I have plastic owls like Birds of Prey, I have Gail Gibbons' Owls book, and then I have a vase full of feathers. They can look at feathers from birds, and then I have cards that show the life cycle of an owl. So you can be creative and then just put different things in your theme center that go along with the unit you're teaching. So my theme center changes between science and social studies. So every 2 to 3 weeks, I change my theme center according to my theme. These are some craftivities that are also in the owl life cycle. The owl life cycle here is the writing craftivity that you can have your kids write about, or you can have them do first, then next, last here and show the actual life cycle here with the arrows. And it says, I'll show you the life cycle. So this is in my resource called Birds of a Feather. That's also in my TBT store. That is 20% off today. This is one of the focus poems that I have in my unit. It's called Little Hoot Owl. So I have a focus poetry journal. Every Friday, which is part of my Fun Friday, we do focus poetry. And so it's still very purposeful. And what they do is they glue in the poem on the left side of the journal, and on the right side of the journal, they illustrate their mental image. So we make a magic movie in our head. We create a mental image of the poem, because we always say that poems also tell a story. The author, the poet, once, she has a message that she's trying to say, or he's trying to say. And then I give them a poem to cut out, and then we might highlight some words. So for example, if I taught nouns for the week, then we would highlight all the nouns in the poem. If I taught verbs for the week, then we would highlight all the verbs in the poem, okay? And then we illustrate a picture. So this is also in my Birds of a Feather cross-curricular unit. Another thing you can do with owls is you can bring in force and motion and energy. And so this is all in that unit. So it says, how does an owl move? Zigzag, up and down, side to side, push and pull, fast and slow. And then we lift the flaps, and underneath the flaps, the kids draw the owl going zigzag, or the owl going up and down, or the owl going fast and slow. And so this is an interactive notebook that you can have your kids do and glue in their science notebook. Or you can do author's purpose. This is author's purpose for Owl Moon: entertain, persuade, or inform, and then they draw a picture and write about it. Or you can talk about, how do owls use energy? How does an owl use heat to live? How does an owl use sound to live? That's when you can talk about they fly on silent wings. How does an owl use light to live? Well, when they see the light, they see the sun up, they go to sleep because they're nocturnal. So you can pull in all of those different things with science into owls. You can even have your kids create a 3D owl at home, and then they can bring it to school, and then you can have a display of all the 3D owls. These are some displays that I had some of my kids that made these owls in my class in previous years. So they can pick an owl, and then they can create it at home. It's really, really fun. All right, moving on to spiders. Spiders is so fun. During October, the kids love learning about spiders. They are just so fascinating. So here's Gail Gibbons again. She has a spider book. Eric Carle has The Very Busy Spider. The Magic School Bus Spins a Web. And then Are You a Spider? Here by Judy Allen. And of course, you have to read Charlotte's Web. Of course, that's a given. And then Spiders, Strange and Wonderful, and then The Diary of a Spider. So again, you can compare fiction and nonfiction texts. So these are, again, some examples of my spider lap book, which is, the title is From Egg to Spider. And then this is my Writing Craftivity, all about spiders. This is in my TPT store. It's also in my membership under the October module for you ladies that are watching. And then you decorate the cover with whatever picture you want them to make, whatever your topic is. And then on the inside of the lap book, you have them, they staple all of the research papers. And you can also staple their writing in the inside as well. This is a sequencing foldable that I have for Charlotte's Web. And so they can do first, then next, and last. So if you're not familiar with my sequencing foldables, they're so fun. You can take a large piece of construction paper, fold it hot dog style, and then on the front flap, you cut 4 slits. So then you open it up on the inside. On the inside, you could have them illustrate first, then next, and last. And then they can color the pictures. And then they can write about the different sentences for the different parts. So in this resource for Charlotte's Web, I have blank cards. I also have the picture cards. So if you choose to just have your kids color the picture cards, they're already there for you. However, if you want to make it more rigorous, if you teach the upper grades, you can have them draw and illustrate their own pictures. You could have them write their own sentences. Okay, so there's 2 different choices for you, which is really fun. And then, this is the character analysis. This is the character walk. So, they are going to choose a character. So this is Wilbur. And then they're going to write about, what did Wilbur hear? What did he love? What did he say? Where did he walk? Where did he go? What did he see? What was he thinking? And so it's a character analysis or a character walk of each character. So there's Fern, there's Mr. Zuckerman, there's Charlotte, there's Wilbur, there's Templeton, there's Avery, there's the goose. All these different characters that you can choose from to make a character walk. That's so fun. And then, of course, you could have them write, if I were a pig, what would they write about? So there's a pig, there's a spider, there's a rat, there's a goose, there's a cow, there's a horse. All different animals they can write about. So that's in my TPT store, and this is also 20% off today. And it's also in my teacher membership under the October modules. Okay, moving on to pumpkins. Okay, so pumpkins are also so fun in October. And pumpkins, you can read Pumpkins by Gail Gibbons. You can read How Many Seeds in a Pumpkin? Too Many Pumpkins by Linda White. From Seed to Pumpkin. How Big is Your Pumpkin Grow? The Runaway Pumpkin, Pumpkin Jack, and the Life Cycles of Pumpkins. So, tons of great pumpkin books. This is a life cycle of the pumpkin here. You can have them make and create a life cycle using the arrows and the picture cards. Then they're going to write first, then next, last. This is Spookly. And there is a pattern in this unit from Seed to Pumpkin. There's a pattern for them to make an actual 3D square of Spookly. And then they're going to decorate him with his googly eyes here. And then they can make the curly tendrils on the top. So they're going to write about Spookily the Square Pumpkin, or they can make a spooky pumpkin here at the top and then write a story about their spooky pumpkin. Or you can have them do the Runaway Pumpkin, which is also a 20% off. So you can have story elements, characters, setting, problem, solution. They can write about it. And I did a really fun science experiment with this Runaway Pumpkin story last year. I had 4 different table groups, and so I gave each table group a pumpkin, and it was a small pumpkin they could course carry. And then we rolled the pumpkin down a hill at the back of our playground. We have a hill, so they practiced rolling the pumpkin down the hill to see if it went fast or slow, or if it went zigzag, or if it went straight. Then they rolled the pumpkin down the slide and noticed how it compared to how it rolled down the hill. And then we rolled it across the grass to see if it was fast or slow. And then we rolled it on the sidewalk and the blacktop, different places of the playground, to watch the pumpkin roll. And then we compared about it. It was so fun. You could also have your kids write about how to make pumpkin pie. So here's first, then next, last. That would also be really fun to put in your kitchen center. Here is a sequencing foldable of Too Many Pumpkins. I love that story. So this is a different resource that's also in my TBT store. This is called Too Many Pumpkins by Linda Shute. And then this is how to carve a pumpkin. So this is a procedural writing in my TBT store. It's called How to Carve a Pumpkin. And they write first, then next, last with the pictures. Okay. And then this is Spookily. So Spookily is also in my TBT store. That's 20% off today. Then you could have your kids write about the beginning, the middle, and the end. And then you could have them write the story, the beginning sentence, the middle sentence, and the end. So then you put them inside of an orange construction paper, and then you fold it. So it's a 3-fold. And so you have the face at the front, and then you glue this inside of there. And then they can decorate the eyes, they can decorate the mouth, they can decorate the stem, and then the curly tendrils and the leaf at the top. So this is Spookily the Square Pumpkin. So you can find that in my TPT store. And then you could also do a pumpkin patch home project. This is so fun. The kids are going to dress up as a favorite character from a story they read at home. They're going to decorate a pumpkin that goes along with their character in their story. They're going to do a character report about their character. And then on Halloween, they can come dressed as their favorite character. We also have a character parade. So you can see these kids are walking around with their pumpkin. So they dress up and they carry their pumpkin around the school, and we have a character parade. So everybody comes out of their classroom, and then they watch us in our character parade. So fun. It's so fun. And they love it. So they decorate their pumpkin with their favorite character. They bring their book. And I always take pictures of them to send to the parents. So lots of great things. And the pumpkin character project report, that is a freebie that's in my TBT store. So you can look under the October category. That's if you scroll all the way up in my comments here. And then I will also link it again in a little bit so you guys can check it out. So, bats is also really fun. Gail Gibbons has a wonderful bat story all about bats. Zipping, zapping, zooming bats is perfect for force and motion. Excuse me. I love reading this story. Of course, there's Stella Luna. You gotta read Stella Luna. And then Bats, Strange and Wonderful. Bats Around the Clock, which is really fun for math. Bats on Parade, fun for math. Bat Jamboree, which is fun for math. And then Bat Loves the Night. So, you can have the kids make a lap book for all about bats, or you can have them make a lap book all about Stella Luna. So you could have them glue a sequence and sentences inside of the lap book here on the inside for Stella Luna. You could have them do character setting problem solution inside of the lap book. So you just glue it in, or you could staple it in there. And this is also in my TBT store. They can write about a scary bat. And then you could also have them do a acrostic poem about Stella Luna here, and then have them write adjectives about Stella Luna. And then you can have them label the different parts of a bat, the thumb, the feet, the wing, the ears, and the fingers here on the front of their lap book. So you can have them make a bat with the moon on the background, googly eyes, and then take some toothpicks, and then they can make the wings, the fingers with the wings. Really, really fun. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pick a second winner. And let's see. I'm going to pick... Who else is commenting here? Ashley Steckman. Yay, Ashley! Okay, so I've got 2 winners so far today. I have Ashley Steckman. Congratulations. And I have Sherry Saunders. So you girls can tell me in the comments, let's see, Ashley, tell me in the comments which resource that you would like to win today, and I will send it to you in your messenger. Congratulations, ladies. Okay, moving on to mentor text for Halloween. I know that some of you may have some kids in your class that don't celebrate Halloween. So in order to get around that, you can just stick to your pumpkin stories, stick to your bat stories, stick to your owl stories, stick to your spider stories, and you're going to still have, you know, that feeling of October when you read those topics. But if you are able to read Halloween stories, these are some of my favorites. So, of course, Room on the Broom, that's one of my favorites. Pete the Cat, Trick or Treat, Scary, Scary Halloween, It's Halloween by Jack Proletsky, Pete the Cat, The Big Pumpkin, There Was an Old Lady Who Was Not Afraid of Anything, and then, of course, Spookily the Square Pumpkin. So those are some of my favorite Halloween stories to read. These are some of my writing craftivities that are in my resource called Let's Write About Halloween. It's in my TPT store. So you could write about my scary ghost. I want to go trick-or-treating. This is a persuasive writing craftivity. They're gonna try to persuade mom and dad to let them go trick-or-treating. And then you could also do my candy corn, Where's My Mummy, which is also really cute, My Black Cat, My Haunted House. I also have a resource that is all about my haunted house for sale. They can write about persuading someone to buy a haunted house and why they should buy a haunted house, which is really fun. So that's all in my store. And then these are some of my craftivities for Room on the Broom. Room on the Broom has writing craftivities. It has a sequencing foldable. It has interactive notebooks. It has, let's see, anchor charts, and it has vocabulary words, all different kinds of things to last you a whole week with Room on the Broom. Same with Where's My Mummy. Here is, actually, this is, There Was an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Bat. Sequencing foldables, so you could have them color the pictures for the sequence, or you can have them color their own pictures and draw their own pictures, and they can write their own sentences, or you have an option of giving them the sentence already, so if you want them to glue it in. And that was really fun. So I also really love to read math books that are pumpkin, spider, Halloween, owl, bats related during October. So these are some of my favorite books that I love to read for math. 10 Timid Ghosts. Oh my gosh, I love that story. That's one of my favorite stories. 10 Trick-or-Treaters. 5 Little Pumpkins. 5 Pesky Pumpkins. Pumpkin Countdown. 7 Orange Pumpkins. 10 Little Pumpkins. 16 Runaway Pumpkins. 10 Little Jack-o'-lanterns. So when I make my slideshow, I just put these YouTube links on my slideshow so we can watch the videos. If I don't have the books already, then I just use YouTube. And then they listen to it on YouTube. These are fun, fun, fun. The kids sit on the carpet with their whiteboard during math, and then they touch their schema and they say, why is the story about math? And then if the story has any numbers in it, then they will write the numbers on their whiteboard, and they'll make a list of numbers that they hear, and then at the end of the story, I'll tell them, now pick some numbers that you wrote on your whiteboard from the story and draw me a number bond and write me some number sentences, and then they turn and tell their neighbor about what they drew. It's really fun. So this is 10 Timid Ghosts. I have a sequencing foldable that you can use, and this is also 20% off. And then it shows first, then, next, last on the cover. And then if you open it up in the middle, then they have the cards that you can have them color, or there's cards that are blank that you can have them make their own. These are some of my favorite Halloween activities for math. I have Witch's Brew. So what you do is you can take a cauldron, and then you mix the cauldron with like the Indian corn, the candy corn, and the pumpkins. And then you can have 3 different sorting objects that they can sort. And then they're going to write different number sentences that equal 10. So they're going to make 10. So like 3 plus 3 plus 4. And then they can make 10. So they're going to use this 10 frame up here that's in the resource. They can mix and match different ways to make 10 using their candy corn. So that's Witch's Brew. Then I also have Bump over here. This is called It's Bump Time. And I have Bump for every month and holiday. And then, so we have, you can give them a double dice, or you can give them 2 dice. And then they roll the dice. And if whatever the sum is, they land on the number that is the sum. And you give them 10 snap cubes of the same color. And then they put the cube on top of the number, and if they roll the same number again, they get to stack the cube, and then they're safe. But if their neighbor rolls the same number, they get to bump them off the number, and so they get their cube. And if they roll an 11 or 12 sum, that they can go on the free space up here at the top. So that's a really fun game. You can teach this game one time, and then every single month the template changes to a different color to match the month, and then the numbers change to match the month. So I have different templates for all the months and holidays. It's really, really fun. So you can also do these math mats are in my TPT store. They are also 20% off. And these math mats you can use with any kinds of counters. So you could use candy corn. You can use Halloween erasers. You can use the plastic spiders on a spider web, and then you can give them the counters. They you can have them write with an expo marker, so you can put these in a clear plastic sleeve, and then you can have them write the number sentences. There's addition, there's also subtraction, and there's also 3 number addition also. So there's a haunted house, there's a pumpkin, there's a spider web, there's a ghost. There's all different kinds of templates that you can choose from. So these are really fun to teach during your math block. So let's see. Shantuan says, we just started narrative writing. Any narrative writing in Craftivities? Yes, Shantuan, if you look in the Let's Write About Halloween, they can write about their trick-or-treating experience. They can write about their scary ghosts. They can write about any of those things it's called Let's Write About Halloween, and those are all different personal narratives they can write about also. That's a great question. So thank you for asking. So Force and Motion and Energy is really, really fun to do in October. So you can read, of course, The Runaway Pumpkin, and do this science experiment that I was telling you about with the pumpkin to roll around different places of the playground. And then you can read Motion, Push, Pull, Fast and Slow. Sounds are all around us. Light is all around us. Light, Shadows, Mirrors, and Rainbows. Energy, Heat, Light, and Fuel. Everyone shouted Pull. A look at Force and Motion. This one's really, really cute. And then forces make things around us. And then energy makes things happen. So these are some great, great science books that you can read for Force and Motion. And then you can do a science investigation using force, motion, and energy. So I have I put a basket together with different heat things like a glove, different light things like a flashlight, and then sound things. You could have a little whistle, you could have a fidget spinner, different things that produce sound, and then have them sort on this page that says light, heat, and sound. They can sort the different products that are in the basket, and then they can draw them. So I have every Friday I have what's called Fahrenheit Friday, and that is my day on my Fun Friday day that they can do a fun science investigation or experiment. So this would be really, really fun that you can use for that. Here's some anchor charts that you can use. This is also in my TPT store. If you are in my teacher membership, if you look in the interactive notebook module, these are all in my module. I have interactive notebooks and anchor charts that go hand in hand for you. So you could teach the lesson from your anchor chart, and then you could have the kids do the interactive notebook that goes with the anchor chart. These are all in my teacher membership as well. Excuse me. So this one is forms of energy, and then they sort the cards. I like to have my anchor charts interactive with post-it notes, so the kids can come up here and they can sort the post-it notes on their chart for light, heat, and sound. And then I give them these interactive notebooks that they can color. They're going to color the pictures. They're going to sort them on their sorting chart that goes in their science notebook. And also this one here at the bottom is force and motion. And then I talk about what force is, what motion is, and then they color the pictures and they glue onto their T-chart here. So that also can go in their science notebook. But I like to make it interactive with the post-it notes so they can still have ownership of their learning. This is sound energy. The sound energy is so fun. You can do a listening walk. So you can read The Listening Walk by Paul Showers. This is about a little girl that goes on a walk and then she hears all of these different sounds. So we actually do a listening walk on Fahrenheit Friday. And I give them this template that says my listening walk. And it says, what did you hear? So they're drawing different pictures of what they heard on their listening walk for sound. And then you could also bring in onomatopoeias with this story. So you can read it during writing time as well. And then you can bring in onomatopoeias and then have them write down the onomatopoeias next to the picture. So if they hear a car driving, they can draw the car and then they can write zoom, zoom. If they hear a bird singing, they can draw the bird and put chirp, chirp. So that could be really fun with onomatopoeias. And that's a really good way to cross-curricular make connections between writing and science as well. Okay, so I talked to you about the s'mores earlier. So this is a really fun story to read called 1, 2, 3, Make a S'more with Me. So then you're actually going to have the kids make s'mores. So if you have never done this before, it's super easy. So give the kids 2 graham crackers, a marshmallow, and a Hershey bar in a baggie. Have them put together and make their s'more sandwich, but don't eat it yet, okay? You want to put them in a bag, and you want to wrap them up in tin foil, okay? So you're going to have them wrap the sandwich and then put it in the bag. And I have this black cart that I set outside. So I put all the sandwiches, the s'mores, on top of the cart. I wheel it out into a courtyard. We have a big courtyard at school it's all open area, so it gets lots of sunlight. And I leave the cart out into the courtyard for about a couple of hours. So I put it out there during lunchtime. And then at the end of the day, when we do science, we walk out there and I hand out their bags and then they get to eat their s'mores. So if you look at the kids here, they're sitting on the floor here in the courtyard. We have a canopy out there so they can sit under the canopy and they're enjoying their s'mores. And it's just so fun for them to see how their s'mores melted in the sun. So it's a really good activity to talk about thermal energy, heat energy. And then I have this interactive notebook that is called S'more Investigation. They draw their s'more, what it looks like first, and then what it looks like at the end. So how did it melt? Was my prediction correct? Yes or no? They're going to draw what they think will happen when they put the s'more in the heat in the sunlight. So that is so fun, and they will remember that forever. Here's another experiment you can do with light energy. You can read How to Make a Rainbow. Get yourself one of those prisms, and you can just order these off Amazon, and a flashlight, and then you're going to turn off the lights in your classroom, and you're going to have the kids hold up the prism towards the ceiling, and then you have them shine the flashlight onto the prism, onto the ceiling, and it makes a rainbow, and it's so fun. So they can look at all the colors. They can color the colors of the rainbow, and then they can write what 3 things make a rainbow at the bottom. So it's your eyes, your light, and the rain. So if you would see a rainbow in real life in the sky, of course you would need rain, of course. But in the classroom, all you need is a prism and a flashlight, and then you got to turn the lights off so you can see the rainbow on the ceiling. It's so fun. Okay, so how about some free cross-curricular lesson plans all about owls? So there is a link. If you scroll all the way up to the very, very top of the comments, there's a link that says free cross-curricular lesson plans for owls. So I'm going to go through what this lesson plan looks like, and you can sign up on my email list. So this is reading, and you get this one on the first day when you sign up. So you get this skill card about realistic fiction, stories that have characters that are made up, but the events could happen in real life. And then it's got Owl Moon as the suggested mentor text. The objective is I can retell and write the beginning, middle, and end of a story. So then you're going to show them the anchor chart, beginning, middle, and end, and have them draw the pictures and write a sentence about it. Okay, so that's the first day, the first lesson plan. This is the second lesson plan. It's about poetry. So you're going to get your poem. It's called Little Hoot Owl. And it says, I can visualize the poem and create my mental image. And then you're going to read Owly by Mike Thaler. And I was telling you about my Focus Poetry notebook earlier, that they glue the poem on the left side and then illustrate the poem on the right side. They create a mental image and then make a magic movie in their head about the poem. So that's really fun. Here's a colored one that you can use. There's also one in black and white, so you could have a choice. On the third day, you're going to get writer's workshop. So you're going to say, you're going to get, the objective is I can label and tell about my picture. So they're going to label the owls, the parts of an owl. This is when you can talk about nouns also. So you can bring in nouns, you can bring in labels also. And you're going to read Owls by Gail Gibbons. And then they can label the eyes, the wings, the feathers, the beak, the ears, and the talons. So you can make a project that has labels. And if you teach kindergarten, this would be really fun to label, because I know that they're not really writing sentences just yet. So labeling is also something you can have your kindergartners do. Okay? So, but you just have to model what the words look like and sound like. Model your sounds, model typing the sounds out. And that's really fun. And then on the fourth day, you're going to get math. And the objective is I can count sums of 10 on a 10 frame and write an equation. So you're going to read Little Owls 1, 2, 3. And your anchor chart talks all about 10 frames. A 10 frame is a long box with 10 spaces here. And then you can show them the numbers. And then you can show them that you always fill the top box first and then the bottom box with the dots. And then over here, this is your interactive notebook. That is owl counting 10 frames. So on these owls, I have these numbers. They are going to show 2 ways to make 5. Okay? And then you're going to have them write a number sentence. So you could have them draw 2 plus 3. And then illustrate 2 plus 3 and then write the number sentence. Or 4 plus 1. And have them illustrate the dots and then write the number sentence. Same with 6. Same with 8. Same with 10. Okay? And then on the 5th day, you're going to get one all about science. This is all about owls. You could read From Egg to Owl. This is an investigation for the life cycle of the owl. So the objective says, I can discuss and create the life cycle of an owl. You're going to read The Life Cycle of an Owl by Ruth Thompson. And then you have these cards also for free in the resource. And then it says Owl Life Cycle, and it has the different parts of the life cycle. And then the Owl Life Cycle pictures here, they can color the owl life cycle. You can have them label the parts, because scientists also label parts, and they do good labeling, and then they illustrate. You can shrink this down to about 87% on the copy machine so they can glue it in their notebook. Okay, because I have a science notebook, I have a math notebook, I have a focus poetry notebook, and I have a schema notebook, which is all about my reading comprehension. Okay? So, if you need PD credit today, you can message me on Facebook Messenger, and you can let me know which let's see, you can let me know what your full name is, and then you can tell me if you need a 1 hour completion. And then I am CPE certified, so I can give you CPE hours that you need to fulfill your CPE hours for your school district. So just message me after we're done, okay? And then I'm going to pick a third winner. Let's see who my third winner is going to be. Let's see, Jill Missy. Yay! Congratulations, Jill. You're always on my webinars all the time. I'm so thankful for you. So Jill is going to tell me, you can tell me, Jill, which resource that you would like for free. You can get the All About Pumpkins, the From Seed to Pumpkin resource, or you can get from the Birds of a Feather, Owl, Cross Connections resource, or you can get the Runaway Pumpkin, or you can get the Charlotte's Web resource. So my winners today were Sherry and Ashley and Jill. Okay, so congratulations, ladies. If you have any questions about anything that I shared with you today, please let me know in the comments and I'll make sure to answer you. I'm really quick to answer you back. Or if you want to post a question in our Facebook group about any questions. And if you'll check out my link in the comments, check out my link at the top. There is a link for the free cross-curricular lesson plans that I was sharing with you all about owls that you can sign up for. And it has 5 days of lesson plans there. Or you can also check out my TPT store because all of the resources that I just shared with you are all 20% off today. But this is just for today, okay? It's just for today, okay? So, okay, Ashley says she wants the Runaway Pumpkin too. Okay, that's perfect. So, ladies, I will send that to you in your messenger as soon as I'm finished, okay? So, thank you so much for everybody who came today and was hopping on. I really appreciate you watching. And I hope you guys have a great week. And I hope you survive Shocktober, because Shocktober is upon us and it is coming whether you like it or not, right? Ready or not, here we go. So if you need any resources, let me know and I will be glad to help you out. So until next time, let's take your classroom to the next level. I love you guys. Mwah. Bye.